So first I'm going to be shooting this target right here, which is about 75 yards. Hey guys, Sean Midget here. First video in the new spot. So this is my brother's Geissele AR15. Now he's owned this for about a year now. Hasn't used it a whole lot. I've had the pleasure of shooting maybe 100 rounds, 200 rounds, probably close to 200 through it so far. We're going to take it out again, and that is the shooting footage you will see, because the first time I shot it, I did not film it at all. So what you will see in this video is strictly what I will be shooting from here on out. Now, pretty solid rifle. I know it is just an AR. ARs are pretty generic. Doesn't mean they're bad guns. It's just they're all over the place, so kind of a bland video probably, maybe, right? Now, Geissele are top tier AR-15 manufacturers. Most people consider them that. Most of them are pre-upgraded, like the trigger, charging handle. The features are pre-upgraded, so it's not like a Palmetto State. You're not buying some base rifle. It's better than even like the Springfield Armory. They have about $1,000, and Palmetto State has released their Saber series, which are like $900 to $1,000 ARs. Some of them are pinned and welded, flash hiders, so they can be a little bit shorter. Some are just full 16. But there's a lot of AR-15s to choose from, and he's had this for about a year, and I think he spent close to $1,500, give plus or minus 200. It may have been between $1,400 and $1,600, I think, is what he paid for this back in the day, a year ago. It's not that old. Now, like I said, Geissele is pretty top tier, so it's more along the lines of like, it's even better quality. It's like a step above BCM, and like I said, Springfield, they make some rifles that are about $1,000. Even the IWI, they make ARs that are close to $1,000. This is like technically a step up from them. These are pre-upgraded, like with the trigger. Most of those other guns, like Springfield, their trigger BCM is nowhere near as good as this, because this one has a Geissele trigger in it, because it's a Geissele rifle. So a really, really nice trigger in this. I'm not sure what Noveski's come with. I think theirs are pretty much all over the place. Some of them come with different triggers, and I'm pretty sure Noveski, they can build you your gun. Basically, like you say, I want this trigger, that I want it in this color, and they do all sorts of customization. And I think a lot of their guns cost like $2,000–$3,000 if you get a lot of crazy stuff on it. But this is a good manufacturer for people that want to get an AR and not mess with it. For me, I like building my own ARs, so I've spent anywhere from $1,000 to maybe $1,400 on my ARs, including this optics. Yeah, I just don't spend I think $14 is the most expensive I've ever spent, and that includes a $300 optic. So it is what it is. I would never spend, $15, $16, $17 plus an optic, because this gun right here is probably $2,200, $2,300 as you see it right here with everything on it. So I'm just going to start from the back and go to the front on this thing. He did put an MFT stock on here. I'm not really sure what they call this. He had this on his airsoft gun for a while, but it is a real stock. MFT, Mission First Tactical. It is in tan, as you can see there, and I think it's a 6th position buffer tube. The buffer tube itself is like the bronze color. As you can see, the whole gun is pretty much kind of two-tone, but the gun is pretty much bronze, 50 shades of bronze, and flat dark earth, whatever you call it, tan. For the price, I'm kind of surprised they didn't put a QD sling mount for back here. Now there is one on the stock there and one there too, and I don't know what stock came on here, so you're gonna have to forgive me about that. The grip on here is black, and it is BCM. This did not come on here. He changed it out. I saw the Geissele, it just had a G, the logo on it. Kind of looked a little basic. Kind of looked like one of the Tango Down grips, and it was tan. But I like the two-tone, so you got a black BCM on here. And the features on the receiver are pretty much what you would expect for a AR this expensive. So you have the ambidextrous selector switch here. Now it is just a 90-degree throw. So you can see it on this side. It is a little bit longer than the other side, so that it doesn't hit your shooting finger, pointer finger, whatever you want to say. But if you're a left-handed person, it might dig into your finger there. And like I said, it's shorter on the other side because most people are right-handed. There is the Geissele, what do they call that? The Maritime Bolt Lock. I have one of these on one of my ARs. I love that feature. Came on their stock. The trigger on here, I will show you guys a little bit later. I love the bow bow. The profile is a better descriptor word in my opinion. On the trigger itself is really, really nice. The trigger's really good. It's like a 2.5, 3-pound trigger. It is very, very light, but it does have some take up. I will show you that a little bit later, but that is Geissele brand. Again, the receiver is like the burnt bronze, whatever they call it. The charging handle is Radeon. I believe this came with it. I'm pretty sure this came with it. I'm like a 99% sure that came on it, because I'm pretty sure, because this is like again a pre-upgraded AR, so they buy some components like Radeon and they put them in all of their rifles. So that is an ambidextrous charging handle. I have one of these exact ones on one of my ARs as well, and I like it. It's kind of hard to get to because of the scope, so it being ambidextrous is kind of a must with an optic like this, so you can actually get a hold of it. A couple of those were going over top because it's a bit close. Let's try the long range one now. Now the magazine catch on here did come with it. It's just an extended one. Of course, on the other side it is just normal. There's no ambidextrous feature on that mag catch. I am not sure if the Strike Industries dust cover came with it, so you have to forgive me. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if it did, but my brother may have changed that out. The scope on here is a 1:8 illuminated. It is an Athlon is the brand, as you can see on this side here. You can see the trademarks, Athlon 1:8. They call it the BTR Gen 2 Argos. Now, this does have bullet drop compensation on it, but I'm pretty sure it's for a 308. It's kind of funny. My brother and 2 of his friends got one of these. So I did a video on a Ruger AR15. It has the exact same scope as this, and one of their other friends got one too. He lives far off, so I do not have access to his rifle, but he has the same scope. Apparently all 3 of them bought the scopes, and apparently they were a good deal. I'm not sure how much they paid for them. I'm not a huge fan, in my opinion. It may have just been where he actually put the optic itself, because when I actually present it, my head is way too far forward. So I think my brother, and I mean, he's got longer arms, so let's see if I move the stock out, if I can get it to click in position. See, that's better. That's better, but that's too long for me. So it's like the eye box, where you put your eye. Naturally, I want to sit closer, so he has it too far back, in my opinion, because like I would have my stock here, and when I go to present, it's my head has to go back in order to actually see. So I don't like the scope, but I think it's just due to the placement on the rail in combination with the stock length. So I don't really think it's the optic. And it's not a bad optic. The guy that's got this on the Ruger AR15, just a couple weeks ago before I moved, we were shooting that at 300 yards. And it was basically like 95% hit rate with a basic Ruger AR with this optic and just 223 ammo. Like, it is a very accurate setup. The rail system on here is an M-LOK, and I believe it's 15 inches, and then the barrel is 16. It's got a rail cover on the top. It's like a ladder rail cover, except it's like not open, so it's not like the ladder rail cover. I've never seen that. I don't know who makes those. There's also some Magpul ones on the sides and the bottom to where you grip, and then there's a BCM vertical grip, or not fully vertical. I know some people put these on their pistols because it's not technically vertical, because it has a little bit of slant to it. Now this is a rifle, so you can put whatever you want on here, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It is stippled. My brother did have that stippled, which is pretty cool. It's like the sprinkle pattern. And again, M-LOK, it is in the burnt bronze. It's a pretty hefty rail, to be honest. This is a pretty hefty gun, I'm not gonna lie. Now, the muzzle device on here is stock, it's Geissele. It's more of a flash hider than anything, but it might be able to be considered a compensator because it is closed on the bottom, kind of like a bird cage, but longer. Because bird cages, I think, are technically compensators because the gases go up into the side and the bottom is closed, so it doesn't kick up dust when you fire. And it also theoretically should push the barrel down. It's a pretty cool flash hider on here, not gonna lie. I like the look of it. No reason to really change it unless you really wanted some recoil reduction, and then you could go with a brake. Now, it does have one of the Geissele low-profile gas blocks on there. Those I've always heard good things about. Some people buy those and put them on their, custom builds. I've heard good things. Regardless, the buffer spring in here is interesting. It's like curled, weird. Also, this did come with an H2 buffer. I took the H2 buffer out and put it in my brother's short AR, his 10.5, because 10.5 short guns like that need a H2 buffer, sometimes even H3. I have H2 in both of my 14.5 and then the 10.5. So I just put his regular H1 in here because this thing just doesn't need the H2. I don't know why they put it in here, but they did regardless. So I just switched them around, put the H2 in there, put the H1 in here, because really this is suited for H1 because it is a longer gas system. Now onto the gas system. I want to say this is the mid-length version. So they do have a rifle length gas system and a carbine length gas system. So I did just compare with the 10.5 AR, and this is a mid-length, that's for sure, because the 10.5 is shorter and those are carbine length. Until you get to like the really, really short, like 7.5, of course that is the even shorter length. That's the shortest one you can get because physically the gas block on a 7.5 will be past the barrel. You see what I'm saying? So they have to make even a shorter one. So the main ones are rifle length, which is the longest, and then you have mid-length, which is what this is, and then you have the carbine. And the fourth one is the shortest, which is only used on a select few, like 7.5 and shorter. So this is kind of in between, so you're gonna get good reliability. But my point being, there's no reason to have the H2 buffer in here because I have a mid-length. It's the same gas system as this, and this exact same buffer in here, the Palmetto State. So there's no reason to run the H2. I just put the H2 in his short gun because H2s, H3s are necessary on those shorter guns. Once I have a shooting rest and I'm not up there on the top of the hill in the wind for the camera, I can actually hit it pretty regularly. That's the play. So there is a decent amount of play, but once you get past the play, I mean, it is really light. Like, it is lighter than my 3.5 pound ones. So it's like 3 or 2.5. And then the reset is pretty short, but since it does have that play in front of it, you know, it feels like the reset's longer, but it's really not. You just have the play in front of it, which most of my triggers don't have that. I'll do it from this angle so you can see it a little bit better. The play, reset. I can do, if I do it slower, I can show you the reset. Kind of kicks my finger out. Tried to do it slow. There's the reset. Yeah, see, it just kind of kicks my finger out all the way because it's springy. See how it kind of pushes your finger out? Whereas the reset is shorter than the full throw, if you know what I'm saying. See, it's like an AK trigger. It kicks your finger all the way out when the reset is a bit shorter, but I can't show you that because it's throwing my finger all the way out. Personally, I buy the Rise brand triggers. I have 2 of those, and they're like $140 for like kind of their top tier. They have different blade profiles. They're all pretty much 3.5 pound triggers, a couple different colors and like just blade styles. And they also make curved triggers. So I just think, you know, spending over $150 is kind of ridiculous. You know, maybe upwards of $200, but some of the Geisele's are like $253, and that just seems a little bit crazy for me. It's name brand. You're paying for the brand, but a lot of people swear by them. If he actually listens to me, this is really what I would recommend because this is very accessible and it's decent price. Typically, you can get this for like 45 cents a round, including shipping, for a 1,000 round case. I buy this stuff a lot. I have 2 of my guns sighted in with it. It is M855, so it's the green tip, made by PMC. Now this stuff's made in Korea, of course, South Korea. Good stuff. I've shot probably 4,000 rounds of this stuff over the past 3 years. Really good stuff. And the reason why I recommend the 62 grain is because 1-in-7 twist. It is a longer barrel, so it's still getting velocity. With the 16-inch, this stuff is probably getting 2,900 feet per second, which is pretty impressive. It's a full house load. It's not a light load or anything. And again, 45 cents to 50 cents a round is pretty good. That's the stuff that I recommend to sight the actual optic in with, and have 500 rounds of that on hand. Crap hits the fan. That's what you use out of this gun. Okay, so it shoots high at this range, which is normal because this really isn't very far.